Welcome back to the podcast today, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to introduce a true titan of the real estate and business world, Robert August. Robert, it's a pleasure to have you here. We had such a fascinating pre-call, and I am eager to share your incredible journey and insights with our audience.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now, for our listeners, Robert's background is simply extraordinary. With over 54 years in real estate, he's seen it all. And he's not just a broker, he's a visionary who founded North Star Synergy. He comes from a deep entrepreneurial lineage, even sharing a captivating story about his family's international wine and spirits business that uniquely navigated prohibition. Robert's also a prolific writer. He's a speaker, and as I discovered, the architect behind a truly innovative digital sales associate powered AI, working across 10 countries. Robert, thank you again for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Shelley.
Wonderful. Now, Robert, in our previous conversation, I was particularly struck by your philosophy of never looking back, only forward. That forward-thinking mindset clearly underpins your success. Now, can you start by telling our audience a bit more about what inspired you to create North Star Synergy and how you consistently manage to stay ahead of the curve in such a dynamic industry?
Yeah, I think I'm going to make you laugh, Shelley. I founded S. Robert August and Company in 1983, and I took the company international immediately. And we've been consulting. Our background, for your listeners, is sales, marketing, and management, and we've been doing it again for 43 years. And our North Star Synergies became a reality because one of the multinational corporation executives that I worked with took me aside after a meeting, and he said, "I think your staff is great, no question about it." But he said, "Now give me one of your business cards." And I gave him a business card, and it was S. Robert August and Company. And he looked at the card and he looked at me, and he said, "You see the name on the business card, the masthead? That's who I hired. I didn't hire your staff. And so I want you in every single meeting from now on."
Wow.
And this was a very, very high profile executive. And I shared with him that I would accommodate him. I mean, he's one of the brightest people that I've ever worked with. And so I said, I will be in every meeting from now on. And if I can't be in a meeting, I'll know it way in advance and we can reschedule the meeting. And he said, that's perfect. So shortly after, I changed the name of the company to North Star Synergies. And in fact, it was my wife and my oldest son who came up with the name. They said, "Robert, you're always pointing everybody to the North Star, and you're doing it in such a fascinating network capability where you synergize and you bring so many factions together." So in 2011, we changed the name of the company to North Star Synergies. And from that day forward, I have not been in 100% of the meetings. Over the last several years, I changed the direction of the company, and I'm back to being in 100% of the meetings. But it's more of a marketing capability to make sure that everyone knows that they're not receiving, and not to take it negatively, but not receiving secondary or tertiary information, but primarily enjoying the best of the best.
Wow. That is an incredible testament to your strategic vision. And you also mentioned that your success is rooted and created the best marketing and sales experience for consumers, and the understanding local demographics and the psychographics and the geographics is paramount. So for our listeners who are looking to achieve similar levels of success, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see today in truly mastering the local market research and then translating it into an unparalleled customer experience?
There is so much research available today through AI, certainly. And we have always been an advocate when we go into a market. we tried to determine the banking industry that the folks that we're working for have accounts with.
Okay.
And the banks have a tremendous amount of economic development knowledge. Some of it, of course, is intellectual property, but they have reports that they put or distribute to their accounts, to their customers, acknowledging what's going on in the market. And what we try to do is look at those reports. We also sit down with manufacturers of construction material and try to
Okay.
determine what their market share is within a given area. And also try to note within that boundary, what is their warranty success? And therefore, if the manufacturers are doing well from a warranty situation, let's say that they have very few warranty issues, we know that their products are going to stand the test of time and be very, very good. One of the other things I would share with you, most builders and developers in the real estate world are not market driven, they're product driven.
That's
And
correct.
as a result, when you go to a builder, one of the things that consumers are always looking at, what are the name brands that the builder uses? If a builder is using off brands, the customers in many instances, if they can't find the information and the worthiness of those products, they drift over to other builders where they can see acknowledged brand names of manufacturers that they've grown up with and have built trust with throughout the years. So we talk about an experience. Our belief is that in establishing an understanding of the culture of an area and doing the appropriate research, it really helps. Now, I will share with you chambers of commerce, economic development
Right.
councils, boards of realtors and home builders associations and commercial broker associations have a tremendous amount of data. And we try to synthesize that data in determining what the consumer wants. There's an old adage that I learned many, many years ago. If the customer doesn't like your product, she will let you keep it. Most purchases are made by female participants. And so we really look at what's going on in a local market, because what happens in Philadelphia is different from Pittsburgh. What happens in Pittsburgh is different from Portland, Oregon. So you want to be able to truly understand what makes a market work.
I
We
agree.
also spend in real estate, we spend a lot of time doing focus sessions. And what we do that's different, we'll do focus sessions usually with 6 to 8 people from different companies, not the same company,
Okay.
different companies. We'll start off with we'll work with manufacturers separately. We'll also work with vendors separately. We'll work with real estate brokerage companies separately,
Hmm.
and we'll work with consumers separately. So
Wow.
sometimes we'll do as many as 4 focus sessions in preparation to launch a new community. And we'll be able to get a lot of information and synthesize that. And
Wow.
we found that the focus sessions usually last an hour, and we ask the same type of questions. So we are getting similar information, hopefully, from the 4 different parties. And it adds value to us then synthesizing that information into a marketing plan of action.
Wow, that is incredible. You have definitely built an extensive global network, and you also have leveraged it incredibly effectively, preferring to call your network rather than cold call, right? So, for those aspiring to build such a powerful network and influence across 10 countries, what are some of the practical challenges in maintaining those relationships and ensuring that they consistently translate into meaningful business opportunities?
I would share with you and the audience today that it's about communication. Like anything, you can't assume that all the work is being done that you recommend. You
Okay.
have to track it, you have to monitor it. You've got to stay in touch with your point people that you're working with in the various corporations to ensure that the work is getting accomplished.
Okay.
It would be nice to have boots on the ground, which we don't. But at the same time, having regular meetings once a week and having an agenda prepared gives us an opportunity to really focus on the needs. And of course, we always have an open forum towards the end of our meetings to ensure that if there are other things that are becoming important to the customers, that we pay attention to those and start to provide solutions to any situation.
Okay. Wow. Well, it's very interesting. What type of systems would you recommend to track that type of activity?
Well, I'm glad you asked because we monitor the sales performance of the individual salespeople with regard to the products and or services that they sell. So we look at the customer relations management program, CRM,
Right.
and determine the feedback that the salespeople are getting from their customers. We're looking at conversion rates. How quickly does it take to meet a buyer, fulfill their interest in becoming a formal buyer? And we find if, for example, you have 100 prospects that come through your front door and you're able to close 4 of them, why did you close the 4? What were the reasons? And then what are the reasons that you didn't close the other 96?
Right.
So those that didn't purchase are often as important as those who do purchase. And we always track that information. And it's very interesting. I can remember really getting involved many years ago with one particular builder developer that I went to work for. And he was interested in finding out why the people aren't buying. If we had a deposit, we always gave back our deposits. But his premise was, I want you to be able to sit down. If the customers decided that they want to move on, we'll give them their money back. But
Right.
I'd like you to have a meeting face to face and determine what the situation is. And he shared with me that many times there's a point of interest. They're still interested, but for whatever reason, they can't move forward. And he referred to it as the last chance sale.
Okay.
And I would share with you, I was able to work with these customers and really have an understanding with them through an outstanding discussion. And I had the check with them. They walked in and I didn't hold the check back. I gave it to them right away
Right.
to let them know that I valued them as customers. And certainly, if I was not able to entertain them further, I would always ask them why they chose not to move forward. And then they would share with me, which was very helpful.
Wow.
If I could mitigate their concerns, I was able to then recapture their interest as a salesperson.
Hmm.
And 5% of the customers who wanted to excuse themselves, I was able to re energize them into purchasing a home.
Wow.
So that last chance close, it works. And then the other thing that I would do, whether I was able to move them forward again to purchase a home, I would always ask for a referral or referrals. And the concept was it was regarding them as important marketing influencers.
Okay.
And invariably, I would always get additional referrals while they were excusing themselves, as well as when I was initially working with buyers, I would always ask for referrals from the very beginning. Yeah. So in essence, we always ask for referrals.
Okay. Yes,
When we're first
absolutely.
when we're first meeting buyers, prospects, and when a customer is excusing us from their life as purchasers.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So I want to talk about your innovative digital sales associate. I remember you basically mentioned it's like you called it, I think, me in a box.
Well,
And that's
yeah,
truly cutting edge, you know. But what were some of the biggest operational hurdles or complexities that you faced in taking all that academic and pragmatic information and successfully embedding it into an AI system that can effectively, answer questions and book appointments for your clients?
great question. Fortunately, for me, I'm able to move forward and accomplish many, many goals. And I'm not the tech party in the venture. So there's another party that could answer that. But what we were able to do that was different from just sitting down with AI is that we took 54 years of my articles, 54 years of my presentations to home builders, to groups like chambers of commerce, economic development councils, other trade associations, not-for-profit organizations, optimist clubs, lions clubs across the board. I have a compendium of these articles and presentations, and also sales manuals, policy and procedure manuals that we've created over the years for multinational corporations as well as smaller companies. And we were able to take all of this information and integrate it into our AI platform.
Wow.
So the gentleman who put it together did refer in one of our discussions. Growing up, I was referred to as Bobby back east. Okay. And I grew up in Philadelphia. And so he referred to the product as Bobby in a box.
Bobby in a box. Oh, God. That's an extensive amount of information. People would really love to be able to duplicate themselves like that. And that's what AI really does allow them to do. Now, you're operating at a very high level and you're impacting businesses globally. When you think about North Star Synergies' continued growth and the expansion of your AI solutions, if you could maybe wave a magic wand and realistically change just one thing about how North Star Synergy operates or scales over the next 12 months, what would that be?
I think one of the things that I would share with you is that we're looking at more ways to really market ourselves as a company, whether it's search engine optimization, social media. We have a huge network of folks that we've been able to integrate into our LinkedIn platform, which we find is the best medium for us to meet business to business. We have thousands and thousands of contacts that we've been able to engage with over the years. Okay. So that will continue being another resource for us. The good news is that, doing a podcast like this with you, you may have 4,687 people that will hear this. You'll also be able to archive the podcast. And as a result, you'll be able to be an influencer for North Star Synergies.
Yes.
So we have found that anytime we can get in front of an audience, and deliver a presentation, it's a wonderful marketing venue for us, and we'll continue promoting that opportunity. I also continue to write articles. I respond to idea exchange programs through trade associations, and I only provide answers to questions or commentary with regard to my background. I won't take a stab at trying to be an engineer or trying to be a formal on-site builder.
Okay.
My premise is, again, I understand sales, marketing, and management, and I can relate to that, certainly. And yet we always find that there's so many new things to learn. So engaging and learning. I'm reading a fascinating book right now that's a motivational book that I would recommend to your audience called Mindset in Motion by Debbie DiMaggio. And it's a really wonderful treatise in that it helps you to think where you are, where you want to go, and how to get there through your own capabilities.
Correct.
So I enjoy reading, and over the years, I certainly have read many business books that have had an impact on me. And I also try to read for pleasure outside of just business, and reading a series of blogs daily, certainly in business, but others that are not, as well as reading books and novels, getting to know people through different situations, which I then can adapt experientially into the work that we do.
Well, you're definitely clearly focused on creating impact and legacy, Robert. And looking ahead, what do you see as the next frontier for leveraging technology, particularly AI, to further optimize the sales and marketing experience, not just for your clients, but maybe perhaps for the broader real estate industry that you've influenced for so long?
Yeah, it's another good question. I've written 2 courses already for the National Association of Home Builders with AI. And They were both really phenomenal courses. One is generating qualified leads and referrals. Another one is selling strategies, techniques, and tips. And in doing so, I found that I I had to spend initially 40% of my time in each course revising the material that I was able to adapt into my background and make sure that the material met the needs of the audience. I think that we'll continue to see more and more opportunities. I've begun another book on closing techniques. Over the years, I've written a lot about how to engage a buyer using the critical path of sales that relate to meeting, greeting, demonstrating your product or service, then qualifying them, closing them, and following up. And I think that what we're seeing with the digital sales associate through AI on a personal basis, we jumped into this program based on the fact that 95% of everyone is never followed up after the first
That
meeting.
is so true.
And so our goal through AI is to become more direct with the sales audience of builders, developers, manufacturers, trades, service companies, and getting to and manufacturers and the like. And I think that what we have found in a good market, anybody can sell. We know that. It's when the market takes on a low rather than a high. And how do you circumvent the negativity and overcome the situation at hand with meaningful follow up? And we see a tremendous future in this engagement. And on a short term and long term, I believe certainly this year, next year, the next 5 years, et cetera, our platform will be very, very important. The other thing that's a little different from our platform, not only does it have Bobby in a box, but it also has a digital sales trainer and a digital sales manager.
Wow.
So it's not just that one party, if you will, that digital sales associate that's trained properly. And the other thing is, we continue to revise our platform on a daily basis. So we don't take it for granted that just because we created something, it's there. I had a meeting earlier today just doing an update of the platform. So the idea is never rest on your laurels. Like you said, don't look back, always look forward.
That's right.
Great picture by the name of Satchel Paige, Hall of Famer, who said, don't look back. They might be gaining on you.
That is so true. Just keep going. You can't change what was done yesterday, right? But you can change what's going to happen tomorrow. Well, Robert, your insights today have been extremely invaluable, honestly, and truly a masterclass in strategic business without a doubt and innovation. Now, as you know, my company, AI Growth Partners, we specialize in helping real estate leaders and brokers like yourself increase revenue and profitability by acquiring new clients, which you were talking about managing as well and marketing yourself, optimizing your business models, and implementing practical AI and customized automation. Now, given your deep understanding of the market, your focus on creating optimal customer experiences. That's what you had mentioned, and your own successful implementation of AI. I believe there could be a strong alignment. Now, would you be open to a brief follow-up conversation about the podcast to explore how my tailored AI growth engine strategy could potentially further enhance North Star Energy's reach?
Well, we're always interested in continuing our growth pattern, and we would be happy to engage in other conversation.
Awesome. Well, that is fantastic. I believe that many of the people out there that are watching this and will be watching this were impacted in such a great way, just like myself. And it has been an honor and a privilege to have you on my podcast, Robert. Your journey and your wisdom and your forward-thinking approach are truly inspiring. And I want to thank you for sharing your story and your vision with our audience. Now, and to our listeners, thank you for also tuning in. We hope to gain as much insight as I did. So be sure to check out Robert August's work with North Star Energy, and we will see you next time.